السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات ربي وتسليماته عليه وعلى آل بيته. All praises are due to Allah. We praise Him and seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from the evil of our own souls and from our own sinful deeds. Whoever Allah guides, no one can mislead. And whoever Allah leaves misguided, no one can guide back to the right path. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except for Allah. He is the one, having no partner. and I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his servant and messenger. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Certainly the best speech is the book of Allah and the best guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The worst affairs are the unprescribed ones, and every unprescribed affair is going astray, and every going astray is in the path that leads into the hellfire. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, right now we are in the beginning of the summer session, and our youth and youngers, our future generation of leaders, inshallah, are in their summer vacation, and they are willing to come more, inshallah, to the masjid. It is an ideal time to address them, and I ask my young brothers and sisters in Islam, especially those who are sitting and not really giving so much attention, to listen to the khutbah. I ask you that today's khutbah is meant mainly for the youngsters. Today's topic is meant for your ears and not really for the ears of the elders. I also believe it's important for elder adults to learn and remember the points that I will mention in this khutbah, inshallah. I'll be talking about the topics that I will be talking about today, since we deal with youngsters at home, in work, in the masjid, and almost everywhere. My young brothers and sisters in Islam, when we look at the Quran, we find that Allah has mentioned many stories of youth and many stories of those children who did so much and accomplished so many ideas. And so the Quran addresses youth along with addressing the elders. Today we're going to talk about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. But we're not really going to talk about the whole story, which you all know, I know. We are going to talk about one part of the story that happened when Ibrahim alayhi salam was a youth. Most of the scholars think that this story happened when Ibrahim was between 13 and 16 years old. And honestly, myself, I thought it happened when he was an adult, because of all the right things that he did along this story. One of the most fascinating stories of the Quran that deals with youth is the story of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Many stories are mentioned about Prophet Ibrahim in the Quran. There are a number of incidents that occurred to him when he was a child and when he was a youth. All of you are aware of these stories, and we study them. We know that when Ibrahim was young, he realized that his nation was upon misguidance. He realized that they are worshipping idols, and it doesn't make sense to worship idols. He realized that there is nothing more logical and more rational than worshipping one God, the perfect God, and that God is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without any revelations coming to him, he knew that Allah is worthy of worship. He was not a prophet at that time. The wahy, the revelation had not yet begun, but he knew that his nation was doing something wrong. He wanted to show his people that this was not right, what they were doing. What did he do to show them that? You all know the story. He entered into the temple when everyone was absent, and he took an axe and he destroyed all the smaller idols and then hung the axe on the biggest, largest, and main idol. When the townspeople returned, they were shocked to see their whole temple had been destroyed and all their idols had been destroyed. They said, "Who could have dared to do this to our idols?" One of them said, there was a little kid talking to them, talking about them. They say his name is Ibrahim. قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم. قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم. Fata means like a young kid. He's not an adult yet. he was not famous, and he was not a prophet by that time, and nobody knew him, but he is a little kid talking about why are you worshipping these idols. Then when these gods are destroyed, the first culprit that comes to mind is this little kid. So they called him. Can you imagine the entire city surrounding him, the elders, the noblemen, even the king, and he single-handedly is in the interrogation, standing right there by himself. Everybody's eyes are on him, and they ask him, did you do this? Did you destroy the idols? What was his response? As you all know, everybody's eyes are on him, and they ask him, did you do this? What was his response? Where did he get the courage, the intelligence, the wisdom to say what he said? Surrounded by his whole clan and tribe, his whole civilization. This little kid says, I didn't do it. Go ask the other idols. Surely they must have witnessed and seen what was going on. I mean, you worship them, right? So they must be intelligent, and they must be rational beings. They must be able to defend themselves. Why didn't they defend themselves? He made a mockery of their religion. Where did a little kid get the guts and intelligence to challenge his whole society and say, what are you doing? How can you be worshipping these idols that cannot really protect themselves and cannot say who did that? When he gave them this argument, and the argument was, how can you worship a God that cannot even defend himself? This was what you call, is this what you call a religion? He talks to his family and tribe. How can you worship a statue, a rock, a stone? It cannot even talk and cannot even tell us who did that. When he gave them this argument, they were completely shocked and could not respond. Just a little kid, a youth, not more than 16-year-old, puzzled his whole tribe. They could not respond, and they had a private meeting. What should we do? How can we respond? Then they say, you have to make an example. You have to make him an example. We have to persecute him. We have to kill him so nobody else does the same thing. And so the brave men, they gathered together to kill a 13 or 15-year-old boy, an innocent child. They built a huge fire, as you all know, and they told him, if you admit you say what you said was wrong, we will spare your life. If not, we will throw you in the fire. If you admit you were wrong and return to our religion, their idol worshipping, you will live. Ibrahim alayhi salam, despite his age, stood his ground, and he said, Allah will protect me. Allah will protect me. My Lord will protect me. When he was taken and thrown into the hellfire, Allah from above the 7 heavens commanded the fire, be coolness and be comfort for Ibrahim. قُلْنَا يَا نَارُ كُونِي بَرْدًا وَسَلَامًا عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. So as I mentioned, this story happened to Ibrahim when he was very young, when he was a youth. And the lessons that we learn from this one part of the big story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, of his life, this all happened when Ibrahim, as I said, was a young child. What can we gain? Those of you who are at that age or before or just crossed the age, you have in Ibrahim a role model. You have in Ibrahim so many lessons to learn from. The first and foremost is the fact that he is thinking at that age far more deeply and profoundly than the average kids at his age. He's not worried about the latest fads and the latest trends and what is cool and what is not. He is thinking about life. What is the meaning of life? What is the purpose of being on this earth? He's thinking long term, and why am I here? And what is the best way to worship this God? Before even the book comes and before he is a prophet, Ibrahim is thinking very profoundly. Because he is an intelligent kid, he is not going with the trends and fashion, he is thinking about what is the meaning of life. Secondly, here's Ibrahim alayhi salam. Forget about fitting into the crowd at that age. Can you imagine the peer pressure that was happening on him at that age? Can you imagine how it must have been like for him to single-handedly stand up and not just tell his fellow 13-year-old teenagers, but all of the society, I am different, I am a Muslim, I am proud to be a Muslim. Can you imagine the audacity and the courage that he must have had to ignore all that peer pressure because he knows that there is nothing cooler than being a Muslim. There is nothing that is more correct than worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He does not want to conform with his friends because he has higher guidance than that. And so, forget not just conforming with his friends, he broke away from all the society that he was living in and everyone in that society. Third point, and this is specifically for youngsters. I know that when you go to school, it is different word. Your parents are never going to know that word and the pressure that there is and the people that make fun of you might make fun of you and the pressure to be cool and friendly. This is something that our parents are not going to understand. You enter a different world, I understand this, but you are not alone. Ibrahim did it before you, and he did it in a far more difficult situation. It wasn't your local high school. He was facing death. He was facing persecution. The people were not just mocking him by putting stupid names or calling him names. You all know the expression, sticks and stones can break my bones, but words cannot hurt me. Well, here is Ibrahim, and he was not even faced with sticks and stones. He was faced with fire. He was faced with the fire, and he was told, choose between being a Muslim and between being a pagan. If he chose to be a Muslim, when he chose being a Muslim, we gain another benefit. When you turn to Allah, Allah will help you. That's the fourth point. It doesn't matter how old you are, you do not need to be adult to turn to Allah. When you turn to Allah, Allah will help you and Allah will protect you. It doesn't matter how old or young you are. Also, another beautiful benefit we learn from, we all hear, and I know at a certain age, we get tired of hearing or being told that Islam teaches us to be good to our parents, right? Yes, we all know that Jannah is under the feet of our mothers. We all know that we are not supposed to say anything back to them. But when you read the story of Ibrahim at that age, what do you see? What do you see in how he dealt with his own father? His father didn't just put a lot of rules on him. His father didn't tell him, you have to pray, you have to go to the masjid, you have to go to the Sunday school. My dear young brothers and sisters, these rules that your parents are giving you, wallahi, they are meant for your own good. I know you don't like hearing that, but it's meant for your good. Ibrahim's father was not giving him rules for his good. Ibrahim's father was saying, go worship an idol. Your father is saying, go to the masjid, go to the Sunday school, memorize some Quran. Your mother is saying, be a good child. You cannot compare that to Ibrahim's father when he said, if you don't worship my idol, I'm going to kick you out of my house and let them burn you in fire. Can you imagine your mother and father being that nasty to you and that mean to you? It is inhumane, right? It is unbelievable. But yet, despite all of that, what was Ibrahim's reaction? He, as a Muslim, knew that it doesn't matter what your mother and father do to you. You bite your tongue down and you control your anger, and you never respond back rudely because you have no right to do that. It doesn't matter what they do to you. Ibrahim's father said, I am going to pick you out, I'm going to stone you to death, or I'm going to let them burn you in fire unless you worship my idols. What did Ibrahim say? Peace be upon you, my father, and I will continue to make dua for you. قال سلام عليك سأستغفر لك ربي. And he left. A 13-year-old kid was kicked out of his house, but not one word and not one off and not one bad word came out of his mouth. He didn't say, how could you do that? I am this, I am that, and what people say against their fathers and mothers. Brothers and sisters, we're all Muslims. We have the ethics, we have manners, we have a system of living our lives. Ibrahim alayhi salam embodied that system as a child and as a teenager and as an adult. I want every one of you to think about the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam and to derive so many benefits, more than what I said from it. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. I say what you have heard and I seek forgiveness from Allah for me and you from every sin. So seek forgiveness from Him. Verily He is the most forgiving and the most merciful. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. To summarize, so that the points become very clear. Benefit number one, Ibrahim alayhi salam is thinking long term, has a vision. He's not just running with the show. He's not just falling prey to every single fad and every single trend. Ibrahim is thinking long term. Second, Ibrahim has guts for the sake of Islam, not for the sake of being cool, but for the sake of his Lord. It doesn't matter what people say, he has a mission on this earth. And that mission is to worship Allah, and nobody's going to get in the way of his mission. Number three, when things get tough, a Muslim turns to Allah. When it gets tough, you do not just go into a shell, and you do not pretend that you are not a Muslim, and you do not just ignore everything. You turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you make dua to Allah. Number four, you act wisely. When Ibrahim alayhi salam was cornered and when he was put on the inquisition and trial, he managed to stump a whole tribe of adults when he was just a kid. A Muslim kid is an intelligent kid. A Muslim kid is a smart kid. Ibrahim, as a kid, is able to stump all of the adults. That is what you call a visionary, and that is what you call an intellectual. Once again, he's not wasting his time. But he's thinking and he's contemplating. Every one of us has a brain. What makes an intellectual is simply the same reason why a bodybuilder becomes a bodybuilder, right? He's going to the gym every day, and by going every day, he gets a body. The same exact principle applies here. When you use your brain that Allah has given you, when you use it to think, to contemplate, to educate yourself, that is what Ibrahim did, and it will develop with time. A Muslim kid is a smart kid again, and therefore I will say this: a Muslim kid pays attention to his secular studies along with his religious studies. A Muslim kid gets straight A's and in school because he's a Muslim kid, he's smart. A Muslim kid is going to hit the books, even if it's chemistry or physics or whatever. He's going to hit the books because he knows that every bit of knowledge is beneficial for him. The Muslim kid is an intelligent kid. The last point that I want to make, that a Muslim child understood that he never has the right to answer back to his parents, and he never has the right to be rude to his parents. Sure, if you do not like something, then speak in a good manner and in intellectual manner, like Ibrahim did. He said, "My dear father, why are you doing this?" And he said it in a polite way. There is a way, and nobody is saying that you have to stay silent. If you don't like something, try to negotiate with politeness and with manners. Never under any circumstances can you be rude to your mother or to your father. These are simply some of the lessons that we derive from the story of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam as young teenagers and as adults wallahi as well. We pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us of those who understand these beautiful lessons and morals and makes us of those who follow the footsteps of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك وأهل المشركين. اللهم انصر من نصر هذا الدين واخذل من حارب هذا الدين. Sisters and brothers, surely Allah commands justice, good deeds and generosity to others and to relatives, and He forbids all shameful deeds, injustice and rebellion. He instructs you so that you may be reminded. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Please make sure to fill the main prayer first. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So today I'm happy to announce that we have a brother who's coming to make shahada, inshallah. So John Shaw. So John stayed today to make shahada, inshallah. And before making shahada, I want to tell you that, inshallah, you're about to be a Muslim. You're about to be one of us, inshallah. And that actually encounters or like puts you under a few responsibilities that I am going to mention just very briefly, 3 of them. One responsibility of your heart, that you believe that Allah is that, and that's actually a good reminder for all of us. Allah is one. Allah, there is no partners to Allah. Allah has no wife or kids. All the prophets are just prophets, including Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Jesus, Isa, Musa, all of them are prophets. None of them is a God. It's only one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other responsibility is a brain responsibility. We all need to learn about Islam. It's a continuous learning process from the day we are born or from the day we became Muslims until the day we die. We keep learning every single day. The last responsibility is our body's responsibility. There is actions that make us a Muslims. That at the least of them are 5 actions. Making shahada, what you're going to do now, and what we all do every day in our lives. Praying 5 times a day, making zakah, fasting Ramadan, and performing pilgrimage or hajj if you can physically and financially. The reward for that is many to count actually in days, but I will also mention 3 of them. One reward is that the happiness and the feeling in your heart that nothing else on this world will make you as happy as becoming a Muslim and as worshipping Allah. The second reward is becoming one of this community, that every single one of them considers you or considers us as brothers and sisters. Everyone is willing to defend you with their lives. The last and not least is the Jannah, inshallah, the paradise in the hereafter. And the least rank in Jannah is as good as this world 10 times. So that's what we know from Allah. So now we're gonna take the shahada, inshallah, and I will not cry. I'm telling you now. So we're gonna say it in English and first, and then say it in Arabic, inshallah. I bear witness.
I bear witness
that there is no God.
That there is no God
but Allah.
but Allah.
And I bear witness.
And I bear witness
that Muhammad.
that Muhammad.
Alayhi salatu wasalam. Peace be upon him.
Peace be upon him.
Is his servant and messenger.
Is his servant and messenger.
One more time, I testify.
I testify
That there is no deity.
that there is no deity
worthy of worship.
worthy of worship
Except for Allah.
except for Allah.
And I testify.
And I testify
That Muhammad is his servant and messenger.
that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger.
Ashhadu.
Ashhadu
Anna.
anna
La ilaha.
la ilaha
Illa.
illa
Allah.
Allah
Wa ashhadu.
wa ashhadu
Anna.
أنا
محمدا
محمدا
عبده
عبده
ورسوله.
ورسوله.
Congratulations.
الله.
So now your brothers will congratulate you as well.